If you've been following the news lately about a group of 5 travelers venturing to the ocean deep, you'll be wanting a full rundown of what happened to the Titanic tourist submarine that triggered an intense rescue mission on Sunday, June 18, 2023. The ill-fated ship, the RMS Titanic, was the largest liner at the time with room for more than 2,400 passengers and more than 800 staff and crew. While on its maiden voyage from England to the United States, it struck an iceberg in the freezing waters of the North Atlantic Ocean on the 15th of April, 1912. Most perished, including Captain Edward Smith, though a reported 712 survived. For more than a century, the disaster has been the source of much intrigue and mystery. The wreckage itself, which was split into 2 pieces, wasn't discovered until 1985 in Canadian waters, shrouded in icicle-like growths of rust called rusticles. Titanic's wreck lies some 435 miles, 700 kilometers, south of St. John, Newfoundland, though the rescue mission is being run from Boston, Massachusetts. In 1997, pioneering filmmaker James Cameron brought on new and mainstream interest in the wreck with his romantic tragedy film Titanic, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. Cameron shot actual footage of the wreck with then cutting-edge technology, even venturing to the wreckage himself in a submarine, and has been at the site 33 times since. He was aware of how risky making the first trip was. "You're going into one of the most unforgiving places on Earth," he said in an interview with the New York Times, shortly before setting off on a trip in 2012. "It's not like you can call up AAA to come get you." Even though there's little for researchers to gain from the wreckage site now, there's still an extraordinary level of cultural interest in visiting the Titanic's final resting place. OceanGate Expeditions established itself in 2009 to offer private citizens an opportunity to see what few have, if you can afford it. The company charges $250,000 per person for a submersible tour of the wreck. According to the website, OceanGate has successfully completed over 14 expeditions and over 200 dives in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Gulf of Mexico. Following every mission, the team evaluates and updates the procedures as a continued commitment to evolve and ensure operational safety. Now, 5 passengers aboard on said civilian expedition are missing. What happened to the Titanic tourist submarine? A timeline of events. The mother of the youngest Titan victims, 19-year-old Suleiman Dawood, revealed she gave up her seat on the vessel and that he took a Rubik's Cube with him to solve at the bottom of the ocean. Christine Dawood told the BBC on June 25th that she was supposed to visit the Titanic wreck with her husband Shahzada, but their original trip was canceled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. When it was reorganized, she gave up her seat so that her son could go in her place. "Then I stepped back and gave them space to set Suleiman up because he really wanted to go," she said. "I was really happy for them because both of them, they really wanted to do that for a very long time." She continued, "He said, 'I'm going to solve the Rubik's Cube 3,700 meters below sea at the Titanic,'" explaining that he could solve the puzzle in 12 seconds. Of their final moments, Christine reflected, "Well, we just hugged and joked, actually. Because Shahzada was so excited to go down, he was like a little child. So the sentence, 'we lost calm,' I think that will be a sentence I never want to hear in my life again. Past the 96 hours mark, that's when I lost hope," she said, on board the sub's Canadian support ship, the Polar Prince. "That's when I sent a message to my family on shore. I'm preparing for the worst. I miss them. I really, really miss them," she added. June 23rd, 2023. Recovery is underway after authorities deemed the missing Titan sub had suffered a catastrophic implosion, killing all 5 on board. Search crews remotely operating an underwater vehicle discovered a debris field Thursday morning in the general area of the Titanic, about 1,600 feet from the bow of the sunken ship. Titan's final moments would have been swift, experts say, as the pressure at the depth of the Titanic, 12,500 feet down, is nearly 380 times greater than at the surface. Eric Fusel, a submarine expert and associate professor at the University of Adelaide's School of Electrical and Mechanical Engineering, told USA Today it would take about 20 milliseconds to crush a hull at those depths. a small comfort in a tragic outcome. June 22, 2023, Titanic director and deep-sea explorer James Cameron said in an interview on Thursday, June 22nd, that he had predicted the fate of the Titan submersible 24 hours after it went missing on Sunday, then watched the futile search unfold, hoping against hope that I was wrong. He explained to CNN's Anderson Cooper that he missed the initial news as he had been out at sea himself, but upon his return on Monday and hearing the news from OceanGate, he was in contact with his colleagues in what he called the deep submergence community. Cameron said he'd begun to suspect an implosion, a shockwave of events so powerful that it actually took out the sub's tracking, a secondary system with its own fail-safes. I got on the horn again with some other people, tracked down some intel that was probably of a military origin, although it could have been research, because there are hydrophones all over the Atlantic, and got confirmation that there was some kind of loud noise consistent with an implosion event, the director continued. That seemed to me enough confirmation. I let all of my inner circle of people know that we had lost our comrades, and I encouraged everybody to raise a glass in their honor on Monday. He added, I couldn't think of any other scenario in which a sub would be lost where it lost comms and navigation at the same time and stayed out of touch and did not surface. OceanGate announced that the 5 passengers are dead. We now believe that our CEO Stockton Rush, Shahzada Dawood, and his son Sulman Dawood, Hamish Harding, and Paul Henry Nargilay have sadly been lost, OceanGate said in a statement. These men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans. Our hearts are with these 5 souls and every member of their families during this tragic time. We grieve the loss of life and joy they brought to everyone they knew. In a press conference, the U.S. Coast Guard confirmed that they found a piece of debris from the submersible. An ROV discovered debris 1,600 feet from the bow of the tailbone of the Titanic wreckage on the sea floor. The debris is consistent with a catastrophic implosion of the pressure chamber, Rear Admiral John Mauger told reporters. Upon this determination, we immediately notified the families. On behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the entire Unified Command, I offer my deepest condolences to the families. I can only imagine what this has been like for them, and I hope that this discovery provides some solace during this difficult time. They also confirmed that the banging was inconsistent with a catastrophic implosion. The New York Times revealed that Wendy Rush, wife of a submersible pilot Stockton Rush and who is director of communications at OceanGate, is the great-great-granddaughter of Isidore and Ida Strauss, who went down with the Titanic when it sank. Isidore was a co-founder of Macy's and a U.S. House representative. According to the newspaper, Wendy descended from one of the Strauss's daughters, Minnie, who married Dr. Richard Weil in 1905. Isa and Isidore's story has been well documented as 2 of the wealthiest people on board the Titanic at the time. The 2 refused to board the lifeboats as Isidore didn't want to go on when women and children were still waiting to flee the sinking liner. Ida stood by her husband's side, and the 2 were last seen on the deck of the Titanic while it was sinking. Isidore's body was recovered 2 weeks after the ship sank. In 2017, one of the Strauss's descendants, Paul Kurtzman, spoke about their ancestors' bravery to Today. My great-grandmother, Ida, stepped into the lifeboat expecting that her husband would follow, Kurtzman said. When he didn't follow, she was very concerned, and the ship's officer in charge of lowering that particular lifeboat said, Well, Mr. Strauss, you're an elderly man, and we all know who you are. Of course, you can enter the lifeboat with your wife. He continued, and my great-grandfather said, no. Until I see that every woman and child on board this ship is in a lifeboat, I will not enter into a lifeboat myself. Their story was fictionalized in 1997 with the cinematic hit from James Cameron. Here, the 2 embrace each other in bed as water floods their cabin. Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. A Canadian aircraft searching for the missing Titan submersible has detected banging sounds at 30-minute increments near where the vessel is believed to have gone missing, Rolling Stone reported. According to internal email updates sent by the Department of Homeland Security's National Operations Center obtained by the magazine, RCC Halifax launched a P-8 Poseidon, which has underwater detection capabilities from the air, the DHS emails read. The P-8 deployed sonobuoys which reported a contact in a position close to the distress position. The P-8 heard banging sounds in the area every 30 minutes. 4 hours later, additional sonar was deployed and banging was still heard. The announcement also stated that the Joint Rescue Coordination Center is working to find an underwater remote-operated vehicle through partner organizations to possibly assist. The previous day, an email from the president of the travel and research group, the Explorers Club, stated, "It is being reported that at 2 a.m. local time on site that sonar detected potential tapping sounds at the location, implying crew may be alive and signaling," per Rolling Stone. Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. The identities of the 5 people, including a pilot and 4 others, on board the Titan submersible, have been confirmed. Those include Paul-Henri Narjolet, a French maritime expert who has been on over 35 dives to the Titanic wreck site, Hamish Harding, a British businessman and explorer, British businessman Shahzada Dawood, and his 19-year-old son Suleiman and Stockton Rush, the founder and CEO of OceanGate. During a press conference, the United States Coast Guard officials said the 5 people within Titan have roughly 40 hours of breathable air left. Captain Jamie Frederick said that crews were doing everything possible as part of a complex search effort. But so far, he said, those efforts have not yielded any results, per the New York Times. Harding acknowledged in a 2021 interview that he had taken on deep-sea missions in the past, knowing that rescue would not be an option. "If something goes wrong, you are not coming back," he told the Indian news magazine The Week. A letter addressed to OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, obtained by the New York Times, revealed how in 2018, leaders in the submersible craft industry were so worried about what they called the experimental approach of OceanGate, they warned of catastrophic problems with the vessel's development. The submersible industry had significant concerns over the strategy of building a deep-sea expedition submersible without following existing classification safety guidelines, Chairman of the committee Will Conan told The Times. Monday, June 19th, 2023. Search and rescue efforts are in a race against time to find the missing vessel, which is said to carry around 4 days, 96 hours, of emergency oxygen. Writer Mike Rice, who took the same trip in 2022, that you sign a massive waiver that lists one way after another that you could die on the trip, he told BBC Breakfast. They mention death 3 times on page 1, and so it's never far from your mind. So nobody in this situation was caught off guard. OceanGate shared a media release on Twitter. "We are exploring and mobilizing all options to bring the crew back safely. Our entire focus is on the crew members in the submersible and their families. We are deeply thankful for the extensive assistance we have received from several government agencies and deep-sea companies in our efforts to reestablish contact with the submersible. We are working toward the safe return of the crew members." Have submersibles been rescued before? Deep-sea rescues have a mixed track record. During World War I, the Royal Navy HMS K-13 was on a training mission in Garalock, Scotland, with 80 people on board. Ventilators in the engine were not properly closed and the submarine was flooded. A rescue mission wasn't launched till the following day, and while 48 made it, 32 of the crew did not survive. In 1939, during another training mission, the USS Squalus, carrying 56 Navy personnel and 3 civilians, were on board. An air valve in the engine room failed, which flooded the compartment. The sub was under 240 of water, and so 26 immediately perished. A newly developed rescue chamber was used to bring the rest of the surviving crew to the surface. On August 29, 1973, the 2-man crew of the Pisces III, a commercial sub, were working to lay transatlantic telephone cables per the BBC. The vessel plunged more than 1,500 feet as they were waiting for the tow line to be attached to lift them and take them back to the mothership. Hitting the bottom, they managed to make contact with the surface, with 66 hours left of emergency oxygen. After coordinating a rescue mission, Pisces III was finally lifted from the ocean floor on September 1st, but it took almost 30 minutes to open the hatch. We had 72 hours of life support when we started the dive, so we managed to eke out a further 12.5 hours. When we looked in the cylinder, we had 12 minutes of oxygen left. Pilot Roger Chapman told the BBC in August 2013. Finally, in 2005, the Russian AS-28 and 7 crew members became snagged in a fishing net during a military exercise. Initial efforts to recover the vessel failed, leading Russia to seek international assistance. British and American rescue crews finally freed the sub. Thanks for watching. To stay updated on the latest discoveries, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications.